Welcome to Living in 50 States, Episode 7 with Chris Christie, who is representing Rockport, Maine. Thank you so much, Chris, for joining us today.
Jonathan, I appreciate it. Anytime I have opportunity to talk about Rockport, it's good times.
Nice. No, I'm excited. I love Maine, as I mentioned briefly before. I went there for a friend's wedding, and I was blown away by the beauty, and it was like blueberry and lobster everything. It was just such an amazing state.
Yeah, that's a pretty good combination.
Oh yeah, can't go wrong. We did a lobster boil, and never experienced that. But I'm curious to ask, what brought you to the state originally?
I grew up in Maine. I was born and raised in Maine, and then my dad was a salesman, so we were traveling a lot around New England growing up. And then ultimately we ended up, I think I moved here in about sixth grade into the Camden Rockport area, graduated from here, and then post high school, because of my coaching pulled me to other parts of the country. And then somehow I would just gravitate back to Rockport, and then I would, find another job, and that would pull me out to. I've worked either through work or travel or other things. I think I've visited most of the United States, but I would then go to Vermont, and then took me to New York, and then ultimately I gravitated back to Rockport again. So there's something about the area that once I got here, especially as I get older, I grow a deeper appreciation for what this area has. But I go to other places, and then ultimately I come back.
I mean, the fact that you traveled a lot and you know what to compare it to, you have perspective, that means a lot.
Absolutely, absolutely, and it's such an amazing country that we live in. I mean, there's really cool parts to about literally every single area and every single state in this country, but there's just something special about this area.
Nice. Well, do you think Rockport, would you say it's representative of the rest of Maine, or is it, kind of like a little hole in the wall, entirely different than the other vibe?
Well, I think that's a unique part to Maine is that there's so many different aspects. The old adage is once you get down to Portland, you're just northern Massachusetts, and once you get above Bangor, you're just southern Canada. There's just so many different parts from very, very rural, which is, I think what do they say? It's something like 93% of the state is still trees. So
Oh, wow.
you get some really rural areas up in northern Maine. Where we are, we're very much in the Rockport area. We're on the water. It's a very tourist area, very affluent area. But then you get down into the Portland area, and now you're back into the small city and that type of thing. So there's just, yeah, and then you get, of course, the mountains on the western part of the state. So there really is no like indicative Maine. I think if people probably thought about Maine, they would think blueberries and lobster. In which case, then this is exactly where you want to be.
I see. It sounds like an amazing place. And I was going to ask, so when someone thinks of Maine, is it typically, yeah, blueberries, lobster, coastal areas? Like, what do you think people typically think of?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. I think it's lobster and seafood and sailing and boating and that type of thing, blue collar workers. But then there's, as I mentioned, there's the whole western part of the state that has amazing mountains and rivers. So if you want to raft, if you want to ski or hike, there's just so many different things. And they're literally just a couple hours away. That's the part. But yeah, I think when people think of Maine, they think ocean, rocky coast, lobster.
That makes sense. And I have to say, I was impressed. I didn't know there was hiking in Maine, and until they took us when we were there for the wedding, hiking at Arcadia National Park,
Yeah.
and I didn't expect that hike to be so intense either. It was like a vertical climb with like ladders built in like it was crazy.
Yeah, some of the best hiking, and then Mount Katahdin is a whole other animal. One of the more dangerous mountains in New England for hiking. So yeah, there's all sorts of. If you want to be outside, Maine is a good place to be.
That's awesome. Yeah, you typically, in my experience, I never thought of Maine as, that sort of activities. I was thinking more West Coast, maybe North Carolina, but on a lesser scale. But that's so cool. You've got it all.
We literally have it all, and that's one of the first things I lead with when people ask about this area specifically. Is I lead with the number of possibilities. If you like to do something outdoors, this is a potpourri of outdoor activity.
That's amazing. Oh man, I love it up there. How would you describe the overall vibe to someone who hasn't been? Like pretty laid back, or since it's Northeast, is it more, sense of urgency, that kind of thing, like New York?
It definitely laid back for sure.
Okay.
Laid back, but I think also progressive because of like the University of Maine school system. They're coming out with a lot of new technologies and ideas. So I think it's a very progressive. I think I look at our local high school, Camden Hills. I mean, they have a room literally set aside in the school that is a huge think tank. So students can come in, and if they have an idea, it's an exploration and a brainstorming area. So I think it's a fairly progressive state, but it is definitely laid back. I have a story. I used to work on Long Island in New York, and when I was moving back, I brought a couple of the workers because I was running a very large adventure park, so ropes courses, zip lines, and I brought a couple of the young guys up to help me move back up there. And I met them for the first night for dinner, and they said, well, two things they said were, first, Chris, we understand why you love Rockport and why you want to come back here. And then the other thing he said was, it was really strange. I said, what was that? And he goes, well, we're walking down the sidewalk, and everybody's looking at us going hi, and they're saying hi to us. And I said, well, that's the way the rest of the country is outside of Long Island, is that everyone's friendly up here.
That's funny.
Yeah, definitely laid back though, for sure.
Nice. And it is a shame that, it's not like that everywhere you go. Like it's a shame. Like I was in Miami for 3 years. I'm in Sarasota right now, where I
Okay.
was born. But in Miami, it's like nobody says hi to each other. It's a tough city, kind of like New York, in a sense. And it's just sad how so many parts of the U.S. people just don't even acknowledge the other person passing them.
Right. And it's I have come to realize that it's a shell that ultimately we all want to go say hi to people. Ultimately, we all want to be friendly, but there were so many times that I would be again at the adventure park, and a woman would be screaming at one of my staff members, and I would just simply say, "You know what, ma'am? Nothing's going to happen until you apologize to this young lady, because I'm pretty certain this young lady was not responsible for all the traffic on the LIE this morning. So until you apologize, nothing's going to happen." And then instantly, like, the shell would break down, like, "Oh, you're right. I'm so sorry." And they would become very friendly, but they have this, they just expect to fight everywhere they go. But deep down, they're just like, they want to be friendly. Everyone wants to be nice, but the society and the environment, which was something we were talking about earlier, that they have to put that wall up to protect themselves, which is unfortunate.
That makes sense. Yeah, deep down, everybody wants the same thing: love,
100%.
connection. That makes sense. How would you describe the city in 3 words? If you had to choose 3 words to represent Rockport, what would you say?
3 words, not a city. Because that's the beautiful part about this, is where Rockport is only a town, is only, I think Camden Rockport is what kind of the community is known for. And I think there might be 15 or 16,000 people.
Very small. Wow.
Very small. But then it will automatically double to probably close to 50,000 come summertime. Because everybody moves back into the mid coast area. Progressive and laid back, I think, as we talked about it, I think fits it. I think there's so many things that make this area so rich in culture, rich in outdoor activities with the museums, the theater and music scene in this area. Certainly, like I said, as I mentioned, the outdoor activities. But yeah, it's just, it has all of the benefits of a city. It's just not a city.
That is really cool. I didn't realize it was so small. It's nice you have like the small town experience, but with everything that a large city has, like everything you want.
Absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
nice. It reminds me kind of like Sarasota with the seasonality. Where I live now, Sarasota. Have you ever been to Sarasota?
I have been to Sarasota many times. My uncle, I used to own a bike shop in this area, and my uncle started a bike shop in Sarasota. And I went down to Sarasota on vacation and just loved the vibe in the bike shop in that area. And I came back and quit the job that I was doing and opened a bike shop simply because of my experience in Sarasota.
Wow, what are the chances? That's
Yeah.
funny. Man, I mean, you know better than me since you obviously have both experiences in Rockport and Sarasota, but it sounds like Sarasota is kind of similar, just southeastern version of Rockport with the that what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, the seasonality side. So, Rockport is very seasonal.
Yes, yes, yeah, super seasonal. We have, again, speaking about outside, because that's where I tend to spend most of my time, but I mean, in 5 minutes, I can be on a sailboat in the harbor, and in 5 minutes, I can be skiing at our local ski area.
That sounds
So,
amazing.
if that's about as seasonalities you get right there, with I can go skiing for, 4 months of the year, or I can be on a sailboat
Man.
in the other months. So,
So would peak season be summer then? And but even though you can enjoy any season?
yeah, I mean, essentially Memorial Day to Columbus Day, they kind of fit the school of the year. But yeah, Memorial Day is when the weather starts to turn pretty solid. June is a good month, but certainly our best months are July, August, September.
Ah, okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Otherwise, it gets pretty cold up there.
Gets a little chilly, but even again, like where we are, again, that's the beauty of Rockport, is that most every single summer day is 78 degrees and might dip down to 74 with the ocean breeze in the afternoon. But you go 15 or 20 miles inland, and it could be 94 degrees. But
Whoa.
because we're closer to the water and the water's cool, we just stay in that kind of 75 to 85 window most of the summer.
That is perfect.
Yeah, it
Wow.
is. It really is. Yeah.
That is literally perfect. I want to go up there next summer now.
Oh, you will. I always tell people if you come to visit, be prepared to stay because you're not going to want to leave.
Yeah, how far is that from Bar Harbor?
So where I mean, as the crow flies, 20 minutes.
Wow.
As the car drives, about an hour and 45.
Nice. That's amazing. Okay.
Yeah, but we can see Cadillac on a clear day from our harbor. I can see Cadillac Mountain, which is Acadia, and I can see up there. But you have to drive all the way up around Belfast and go around the bay and then back out onto the island. So yeah.
Oh, that's cool, man. Are there any local sayings or slang, like an expression that feels uniquely home to either your area or just Maine?
Certainly Maine does. You know, Maine has that slang. You know, the with our R's and everything else. It's but you know, in this area, no, because it's such a rich culture that you really have a lot of people from everywhere, from every walks of
Okay.
life, and so there's not many. You know, there's not many slangs. If you get into rural Maine, then that's where you get into the true heart of the kind of the Maine slang and the sayings. And you can't get there from here, and you know
Ah,
that
the
you
accent,
know
yeah.
yeah, the accent. But in this area, no, it's definitely more again because there's so many different backgrounds, and now because of where it is, people a lot of people that have moved in from away, which is awesome because everybody brings their own ideas and culture and stuff like that. So it's yeah, it's not so much in this area.
Oh, okay. Huh. Before I get into the hidden gems and all that, the details, a couple more big picture questions. What do people tend to misunderstand about the state? Any misconceptions or anything like that? How they're,
Yeah, yeah, the one that comes to mind, and it's bothered me for a long, long time, is because of that. Our slang sounds like we're stupid. I mean, that's really. I mean, it
uh,
comes across that way, and we're very much again speaking more of our area. You know, Rockport. We're just it's a highly intelligent state. People work hard. They fight for each other. They support each other. But that, again, because of that accent, I can't stand when people put, you know, even restaurants in our area and they go, "We've got lobster, Lobstah," and I'm like, that's
nah,
not how you spell it. And you're just now feeding the idea that we're just dumb up here, and it's just not the case. But that's the one thing that just sticks in my head all the time. Even when I was traveling and used to live in Colorado, and people would say the same thing, like, "Oh, you're just a bunch of hicks and I'm like, no, no, we're not.
that's funny, man. Huh. Yeah, so many misconceptions throughout the U.S. since each part is so different. It's fascinating.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it could apply to every town in every state.
Oh yeah, that is funny though the to spell it with it lobster because the pronunciation. That's
Right.
cool.
Yeah, we don't need R's for anything.
Yeah, that's funny. For day-to-day life, I know your day might not be typical of, someone who lives in Rockport with your coaching and all of that. You're in your own business, but
Mm-hmm.
what does an average day look like for you?
For me, it's especially in the summer. You know, for 9 months of the year, it is to get outside as quickly as possible. So even first thing in the morning, just to start my day, I'm always out for a walk with my dog. Because again, we're not I don't have to fight with traffic. I can just literally throw a headlamp on and I can go for a hike. I do a lot of hiking at night with my dog, especially in the summertime and even in the winter because we don't have to worry about bears in the wintertime because they're all sleeping.
True.
And so you don't have to worry about a whole lot about animals. And especially in our area, we don't have to worry about anything sneaking up on you very often. You might startle a deer here or there or a moose or something, but it's nothing. But yeah, it's about being outside. And again, as I mentioned, um, I have within 5 or 10 minutes, I can be on 4 to 5 pretty substantial lakes. So yeah, I can really. It's just there's so much to do, but it's about being outside for me. Is
I
really
see.
and taking advantage of the summer because we don't have summer for 12 months. We have summer, a really good summer for about 6 or 7 months.
I see. You gotta take advantage while it's there, basically.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's the fun part is that because we're so rich in outdoor activities, I'm training for a big adventure in 2027. My goal is to stand up paddleboard the entire coast of Maine. So I'm training for that. But
Whoa.
then my son and I are big mountain bikers because I used to own a bike shop, so we can go over to the ski area and do gravity riding. Or there's so much mountain biking in this area, or there's so much hiking, or then you have places like you said, like Acadia up there and a hike up in one of the most popular state parks in the United States. But we have a state park right here in Camden, Mount Batty, so you can hike up on Mount Batty. And so yeah, there's always so much to do. I try to change it up. That's probably my downfall is I try to do too much sometimes, and I would, but there's always something. Yeah.
That reminds me, I was up in Illinois a couple summers back. We had a small business at the time. food business, and we were there for summer. I was there for summer season, and everyone said the same thing. They were like, gotta get outside. Whether like summer is so, relatively short, uh, because that Chicago area, Highland Park area, was so cold in the winter.
Yep.
Everybody wanted to maximize summer, so I didn't
Right.
realize that was a thing until, going up there.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think as I get older, I'm losing some appreciation for the winter. I spent many, many years as a ski coach. So I've done my time, I think, outside. So I'm beginning to think that maybe warm more often during this season is a little better for
Can
me.
you still
But
hear me, Chris? Oh, your audio went out for a second.
I got you now. Yep.
Ah, there you go. Okay. You
Yep.
said you spent many years
All
as a
right.
ski coach?
Yeah, I'm going to use a ski coach. And so I love the seasonal stuff with the foliage change and everything. But now as I'm getting older, I'm leaning more towards warmth most of the time now.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
I do not like cold.
Yeah.
Man, what are small everyday things you've grown to love about living in the state of Maine?
I think going back to the conversation we had prior to jumping on was the importance of being outside, and that at any time, if things, whether I'm very fortunate that I get to work from home and I do spend a fair amount of time in my car, that at any point I can just stop and get outside. And I don't hear the noise of traffic. I don't hear horns beeping. I don't hear stuff. Or if we want to see a full moon, I don't have the light pollution that, Boston or New York or those types. So I get to appreciate being outside more. That's why it's such a big part of my coaching, is that it is so important to me. And so being in this area gives me the opportunity. Like we were looking for the Northern Lights. We don't get to see the Northern Lights very often in Maine, but last summer we could. And all I had to do was drive 2 miles away from my house just to get a little bit further away, and there was no light pollution, and we saw them
Man,
beautiful. So it's things like that, just little appreciations that we sometimes I think take for granted, or we look on the internet and we go, oh yeah, I saw the Northern Lights because someone posted it on Instagram, and here I get to just go out in the backyard and see them in my back deck, which is pretty nice.
that is special, really. That
Yeah,
is
yeah,
really cool. Wow.
yeah.
How has living in the state shaped who you are as a person, would you say?
I think it's given me an appreciation for slowing down. When I was younger, I was chasing everything and I was running after everything, and now and maybe it's because I think partly because of living in this area, or just because I've gotten a little wiser, perhaps, maybe. Because people probably, that would still be up for debate based from a lot of people. But for me, it has just slowed me down a little bit and allowed me, and that's why I think every day I seem to grow an appreciation for where I live, because I am, the more I slow down, the more I look around and go, oh, wow, this is really special. Or I go and get to visit. We just came back from a couple of weeks down in Mexico, and it was amazing. But then I come back here and go, oh, wow, this place, it really is that cool. And
Wow.
so it's allowed me to, when I do go visit, even if it's just over to New Hampshire or Vermont or somewhere, we traveled a lot down to North Carolina, but because of my learning how to appreciate where I'm at now, when I do travel places, I take time to learn and try to appreciate where I am there. So it's that's why I say this whole country is amazing. That it's just given me that deeper appreciation for other parts of the country as well.
I see. No, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. And honestly, the more you're describing this, your city and your state, I'm thinking like we need to go visit ASAP. Sounds amazing.
Yeah, you do. It is pretty nice.
Oh yeah, I love traveling, and it sounds like a special place for sure. Food and local flavor. What would you say is a food or dish that represents the city or state?
I mean, that's an easy one. It's lobster,
Okay.
or lobster and or seafood. Seafood. I mean, certainly we're known for lobster, but seafood in general is. If you come to Maine and you're ordering anything other than seafood, then you're just missing out, because it literally is more often than not. If you're ordering a lobster somewhere, it was probably still in the water that morning.
Wow, that
Yeah,
fresh.
yeah, that fresh, and it's been, again, that's one of the perks of being a coach and knowing a lot of people, is that if I want to do lobsters, I can literally call a friend up, and I don't think I'd ever order a lobster in a restaurant, because there's nothing better than a lobster on the back deck. But yeah,
Man,
seafood in general, clams, mussels, oysters. I mean, we have some amazing oysters in some of the rivers that lead out into the ocean around here. So it's just seafood in general. There's just so much of it.
that's awesome. Yeah, I remember I was working in a lot of restaurants for a while, and like high-end places, and they would have oysters from the Northeast. Like, trying to think of a name, but they were always so much better than the Gulf oysters or any other oysters. They always were more briny, more flavor, and they were
Yes.
like the premium oysters that we would offer.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was funny because I was working with another coach and he was down in Dallas, and we ultimately had this discussion where, like, okay, you send me some steaks, because we don't know how to have steaks up here in Maine. Then I'll send you seafood because you don't know how to do seafood down there.
That's true. That's awesome. That's a good deal. Oh yeah, blueberry. I wanted to ask you about blueberry. Is that just as big as lobster, or is that more of like, mostly lobster, blueberries kind of a thing?
Certainly, blueberries are big, but blueberries are somewhat seasonal as well. I mean, you can't get Maine blueberries all year long. I mean, I guess you can, but they're not going to be the fresh. Like you can get lobster all year long here because they fish for lobster all 12 months a year, so you can get lobster at any point. Whereas blueberries a little bit more seasonal. That summertime blueberry, but there is, a Maine blueberry is completely different than a blueberry that you're going to find in a grocery store somewhere. They tend to be a little smaller. They're filled with a lot more flavor. But yeah, blueberries. It's not as big now, but during when I was in high school and stuff, I mean, your summertime job was to rake blueberries in the summer.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
So that is pretty big then.
it's still a big thing. Yeah, hunched over with the rake and just raking blueberries.
Fascinating how
Yeah.
different it is. Wow. Yeah, I remember when we were up there for the wedding, as I mentioned, we went to a bar and they had blueberry beer, blueberry pie,
Yes.
and so I got a piece of blueberry pie with a blueberry beer.
Perfect.
So good.
Perfect. Yeah.
Oh man, so
Yeah, and
good.
even like Maine potatoes. Again, if we're talking about the state, you go up into northern Maine, and I work with a lot of sports teams, and their season is varied by about 2 weeks from the rest of the state because the kids actually take a week or two off of school in the fall to potato harvest.
Oh, that's very unique to
Yeah,
never
yeah,
heard that.
yep, yeah. Their sports season is about a week to 10 days off of the rest of the state because the kids actually take a week off to harvest potatoes.
So like that's literally a thing that, majority of the students will take off time to harvest potatoes.
Yeah, whether the majority does or not, but they all get the time off. But yeah, that's such a big thing up there. Yeah, potatoes are huge, and then up in the northern part of the state.
That is interesting. I would have never thought that.
Yeah,
And harvesting potatoes, is that like using machinery or picking them?
yeah. At this point, I mean, I think there's probably still a lot of farms that have the machines that will dig them up, and then they'll just go out and hand pick them, much like they were raking blueberries. But I think
Yeah.
as things go on and it becomes such a bigger business, and automation, of course, is taking over for a lot of stuff. It's just farms are very important up in that part of the state, and so whether they're actually manually doing it or just being there as part of the whole process, it's still important up there.
I see. That's so fascinating though how different, states are because to harvest potato, have a week off from school to harvest potatoes, and then
Yeah,
also the raking blueberry, like so crazy, so
yeah,
interesting. When it comes to restaurants, what are some hidden gems or places that you just love in your area?
yeah. Again, I mean, I hate to sound like the singing the same tune here, but that is one thing that we are very blessed with, especially in the Camden Rockport, and I'll include Rockland because Rockland is just, I mean, we're all 5 minutes from each other. So this mid coast, Camden, Rockport, Rockland, is just so blessed with amazing restaurants. Primo, which is down in Rockland, is a must see. The chef there has been Michelin awards, and she was on Gordon Ramsay's. When Gordon Ramsay does his thing where he goes into a local area or or a country and then challenges like a chef in that area. Well, the owner and the chef for Primo was that person with Gordon Ramsay when he came to Maine. So yeah, I mean, there's just so many amazing restaurants in this area, and it was thinking actually when I was down in Mexico that some of the best food we got in Mexico was at the food trucks,
The smaller
the
businesses.
smaller businesses, and there's so much passion and love, and that there's so many little places, little lobster shacks that are down on the water that do the most amazing lobster rolls or crab meat rolls or those types of things, and they do it with such love and passion that you just have to go and look for those little gems somewhere, and just don't be afraid to try something like, you look at Moody's Diner. It's now world famous because it's just a little tiny place on Route 1 in Waldoboro, but the food's always good because it's most likely cooked by the grandparents, in the
That's
area, and it's just there's so many. But in our area, if you were looking for, a good meal, and you don't have to spend it, Todd. It's not like they're $60 entrees. They're in the $20 to $28 entrees, and you're going to get just amazing food that's for the most part probably 100% farm to table. I know, like, for instance, at Primo's, they all of their herbs, all of their vegetables are all cooked are all prepared and raised right on site at their restaurant.
wow, it
So
doesn't get any fresher.
it doesn't get any fresher. And there's yeah. So there's just so many different restaurants. And if you want to sit on the waterfront in Camden, you go to the waterfront restaurant, and you're literally sitting on the Camden Harbor getting amazing food.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds so good. So the Primo, you said it was called? Was
Primos,
the
yep, Primos in
Primo
Rockland.
in Rockland, and then looking for the food trucks along the coast, anything that is like small, family owned, that kind of thing.
Yeah, just little lobster shacks, whether it's down in Cushing or Tennant's Harbor. Again, the closer you get down to the waters, you're always going to find that little place that does a lobster shack or a lobster roll. I mean, that's what everybody comes here for. My brother-in-law, when he comes to the area, they visit from Wisconsin, and every time he comes, his goal is to have lobster every single day that he's here. Whether it's
That's
a
awesome.
lobster omelet or a lobster roll or a lobster pasta at night, it's lobster every day.
Wow, I mean that's smart. I would do the same thing. And lobster omelet, I've never
Oh,
even
it's the
imagined that.
best. Yeah, it's the best.
I want to try that now. I'm gonna
Yeah,
keep that in
it's
mind.
yeah,
Huh.
it's a great way to start the day.
Oh yeah, I can
Yeah.
imagine. What was I gonna say? The about the food with the. Sorry, I blanked out for a second. Oh yeah, one meal. If someone had one meal there, where would you take them? Would you take them to Primo or straight to the coast to find one of those food trucks?
Gosh, one meal.
I know it's pretty tough.
If I had to take him for one meal in this area, I would take him to my back deck.
Oh really? Wow.
I would take him to
Okay.
my back deck, and we would get steamers. We would get clams, we'd get mussels, we'd get lobster, and we would sit on the back deck with a Cushnock IPA, which Cushnock's a brewing company over in Augusta. It's the best IPA in the world. I've been on a mission for the last 8 years or so. Everywhere I go, whatever state, I always try local IPAs, and Cushnock IPA is the best. That's great. Plus, they have a great name. It's called Gigantic Dad Pants. Is the name of their IPA. So yeah, we would just sit on
Gigantic
the
dad
back
pants.
deck with fresh corn and some blueberry pie and clams, mussels, and lobster right on my back deck.
Wow. It doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, yeah, yes.
Seriously.
But if they were looking for a really good meal, yeah, Primos would probably be where I
Primos.
would where I would take them. And then there's other places. I've got a friend that has a place called the Dry Dock Restaurant, and it literally sits right in Rockland Harbor, and it's your basic food, but they're always going to have some kind of seafood and something on there, and it's cooked really well, and the meals are consistent. So, but yeah, if someone's going to come up here and they want to have a meal, then they're going to get invited to my back deck.
That's awesome. And that's it shows that you're a good chef as well.
Well, you really can't. I mean, there's a one key trick when you cook lobster, and it's the easiest one, and that's why I've never mistakenly I haven't made a mistake cooking lobster yet.
So I mean, actually, now that you mentioned that, is the only mistake typically overcooking or
Yes,
undercooking?
no, it's
Ah,
usually
okay.
overcooking.
Overcooking.
Yeah,
I
there's one
see.
simple trick that I've done forever, and you keep them in the water, and then the tentacles that they have come out, you just pull on one of the tentacles, and as soon as the tentacle just pops off, lobster's done.
Oh, wow. That's very simple.
Yep, very simple.
Very simple. That's good to
Yep.
know. I mean, otherwise, there's no really real way to tell, right? And
No, I mean other than a timer and just having done it for so long that you just know that lobster got to come out. I mean, it's not like they turn at least in my experience, they don't turn a different shade of red. They're just I always go if I can grab the tentacle, and you'll and
I
you'll see
see.
if the first time you do it, you'll grab it and you'll give it a little tug and it won't release and it won't release, and then finally you'll grab it and a little tug and it will release, and then it tells you the lobster's ready.
I like that. I'm literally gonna share that with people now whenever
Yeah,
that comes up.
perfect.
That's cool. I was gonna ask. I remember now. The clam chowder. I know there's different types. Is that a main thing, or is that more like a Boston thing,
That is
like
a New
city
England. That's
specific?
a New England thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a New England thing. I think because there's the Boston clam chowder. There's the Manhattan clam chowder. There's
Yes.
which is more of sometimes a tomato based chowder. And up here, where your clams, your potatoes, onions, it's more of a cream based chowder.
Ah, okay. I see. So
Yeah,
that's the entire region basically, but
it's the
then
entire
there's
region. Sure.
right.
Yeah.
Getting into the landscape experiences, what places do you think truly capture the essence, the beauty? Like if someone wanted to see the most beautiful view in your area.
I would probably, at least if we're speaking specifically about the Camden Rockport area, it would be the top of Mount Batty in Camden. It's a state park. You can drive up to the top of it, but from that, you're going to again see Cadillac Mountain on a clear day. You're going to be basically the whole mountain just sits on top of. It's where Camden is known as where the mountains meet the sea.
Oh,
And so
wow.
you're literally looking down on Camden Harbor because Rockport really doesn't have a downtown. It does, but it's very, very small. I mean, if you blink, you're going to miss it as you go through. But Camden has a little bit more of a downtown with established businesses. Yeah, Mount Batty would be because then as you do the kind of the panoramic view of that, you turn to the right, and all of a sudden you see the ski area, and you see the mountains that are in our area where you can go hike and do stuff, and then you turn back and there's the ocean, and so you really, yeah, I love the where the mountains meet the sea, and It's that would be where if someone really wanted to capture it, because you could drive up or you could hike up, and it's a great hike getting up there, and so you really get the best of both worlds.
Top of Mount Batty. I'm gonna look that up after this.
Yeah, and it's fun in the winter time because we always our tradition with my wife is that we hike up on typically Christmas morning or depending on the weather, sometimes New Year's. But at the top there's a stone, kind of a stone. I don't want to say castle, but a stone tower. That's how they would overlook the water back in the day. And now every year they put a huge star on the top of that, so they light the star up during the holiday season. And so
That sounds
we
beautiful.
would always hike up on either early Christmas morning at like 4:30 in the morning and go take pictures underneath the star. So it's pretty cool.
Wow,
So you'll see if you look up Mount Batty, Camden, you'll see the view of that, but then you'll most likely will see a picture of the big star on top.
that's cool. I'm making a note of all of this, and
Yeah.
so many cool experiences. What is this is gonna be a good one, location that locals love that rarely makes travel guides? So like a hidden hiking spot or hidden spot you like to go to, like a hidden gem.
For me, it's the local ski area.
Okay.
That's my go-to. If anyone's visiting the area, that's where I take them because again, there's amazing hiking trails that will get you to the top of the ski area. There's amazing mountain biking up on the ski area. But the cool part of the ski area is it's the only ski area in the United States where at the top of the ski area you can overlook the Atlantic Ocean.
Only one in the US.
Only one in the U.S. Yeah. They will especially in the fall when the leaves start to turn they'll do chairlift rides so people can jump on the chairlift and ride up and so you're literally overlooking it. But that's my if I'm going to go meditate somewhere, if I'm going to hike with my dog, I will hike up there 2 or 3 times a week. And it's just again you get to overlook everything. You can see the mount. You can see Mount Batty, but you get to overlook the ocean. And you are off the beaten path because most people are hiking Mount Batty. They're going up those trails because that's what the travel magazines, that's where they're going to send you, they're going to send you to Mount Batty and they're going to send you to a couple other trails that are hiked. But typically, if I go up and hike at the Snow Bowl, I might encounter 4 or 5 people in the
The
course of
whole time.
the whole time.
That's
Yeah.
nice.
And especially the higher you go, because they're now is they've just created the Coastal Mountain Land Trust has created what they call a around the mountain trail. So it literally goes around the base of the local ski area, which is called Ragged Mountain, and it goes around that. And so most people are staying lower on the mountain and they're doing that. But because of the bike trails and the hiking trails, I will walk up that with my dog, and there's hardly anybody. But that's where I always take anyone that visits. We're going to the top of the Camden Snow Bowl.
Top of the Camden
Camden
Snow
Snow
Bowl?
Bowl. Yeah.
Camden Snow Bowl.
It's a town-owned ski area on top, and the mountain itself is Ragged Mountain, but the Camden Snow Bowl is the ski area.
Oh, that sounds awesome. Man. So then actually playing on that, if there's any hikes, views, or outdoor spots that feel unreal, it would be in that area, I'm assuming?
It would be in that area, or I would also. There's so many day charter boats, sailboats that will take people out on the water. So if you want to experience, it's one thing to stand on land and look out to the ocean. It's a whole nother perspective to go out on one of those, whether it's the schooners that will go out, the big masted schooners that will go out for a week at a time, or
Yeah.
if you just go down to the harbor, there's all sorts of day charters that will go out for 3-4 hours, and they'll take you out around the local islands and stuff. But it's a whole nother perspective to be on the water and then looking back on
But yeah.
on this area. It's a amazing perspective. But I would say if you come to the area, plan on doing things. Go for a nice hike so you get to see the vista of the ocean. But then plan a time out on a day sail and get out on one of the local sailboats. And then Rockport has them, Camden has them, Rockland has them. They're everywhere and they're amazing. And those people. All those captains of those sailboats understand what customer service is. They understand the experience. They're as passionate about this area as I am. So they're going to share all of the intel of what this area is all about and the history of it. And yeah, so definitely get out on the water that way.
That is something I didn't think of at all. The perspective from the ocean is just as powerful as from the land. Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And then, and when you're out there, you're going to have some seals or something that are going to be swimming alongside of you. And it's a whole other perspective.
That is
Yeah.
amazing. Wow. And the customer service side, that's important too, because I know like in Miami, the customer service is known to be terrible. South Florida.
Yeah. No, we recognize it because for a lot of these folks, tourism is a big part of it. And we also recognize that our tourism season is 3 months. It's
So
not.
you got to maximize it.
We got to maximize it and take advantage of it. And so, like, for instance, in the summertime, we very seldom do we go out for dinner locally right in our area unless we know a hidden gem somewhere that we'll sneak off to. But then we go out for dinner in the other, because we're just not going to go fight the traffic and fight the crowds and stuff. So
Oh yeah,
we
that
just
remi
know to stay away from downtown Camden or that type, just because it gets so busy.
that makes sense, and I can relate with as you know, Sarasota is equally seasonal, but summer is our peak season. I mean, no, I'm sorry, winter is our peak
Winter,
season
yeah.
because summer's so hot. So opposite season of yours, but the
Well,
the city triples.
and it really is perspective. I say we don't go into downtown because we don't want to wait around in traffic, and waiting around in traffic is 45 seconds at the light. It's, you
Oh,
know, it's
that's
all
not
about
bad.
perspective. That yeah, it's still instead of going through town in 50 seconds, it now takes me 2 minutes to go through town. So it's
Wow,
all about perspective still, and
small town.
you might have a 20 or 30 minute wait for dinner, which again is not bad when you can just walk around the downtown and look at the harbor and that stuff. So it's perspective, and I'll be the first to mention I'm very spoiled when it comes to that stuff. So
That's funny. I'm not gonna lie, sounds like it.
yeah,
Yeah. That's funny. Yeah, here it's like traffic triples, and it takes from it's a small city. It's like 7, 8 square miles. It's the interstate to the ocean is like 7 miles, then exit 205 to 213. So yeah, relatively small, but it takes you like 40 minutes, 30, 40 minutes to go from one side to the other in season, and out of season is like 15.
yeah.
It's crazy. So
Yeah,
yeah, I can
I
definitely
mean,
relate.
Route One. I mean, that's the beauty of Route One is I think Route One. You can literally take it from I think Bar Harbor all the way to Florida. Route One goes down the entire eastern seaboard, and Route One comes directly through the Camden Rockport area. And there are times in the summer when yes, you'll be in traffic, and it's going to take you a half hour to get through town because they're literally backed all the way up to the state park, which is a couple miles outside of the town. So it can get backed up, but 95% of the time yeah, we're spoiled.
I see. Do you have any recommendations if someone was going to take a road trip through the state? Any like key places if they were taking like let's say a 3 day road trip through Maine?
3 day.
Or maybe 4 day, because I know there's a
Yeah.
lot to see.
I would certainly hit southern Maine, down in the York, Saco area. It's some beautiful beaches down there. It's down there. Portland is a must. The culture
Portland.
and the food scene in Portland is just amazing. Working waterfront. Yeah, just Portland you have to see Portland. Certainly the Camden Rockport area is where I would also go to. You've been to Bar Harbor. I think Bar Harbor has turned a little bit more commercial for me. I will go to Bar Harbor, but I'll go to Bar Harbor in October. I don't go up there in the summer because now it's paid parking everywhere.
I see.
And so
Changes.
it is definitely a tourist area, but a lot of people like to go there because they've got Thunder Hole. To be able to go up on Cadillac and be able to see the sun so early as a sunrise. The sunrise on Cadillac is still a very, very special thing. But now you got to have reservations to get up there because it has become so popular where you could hike up Mount Batty in Camden and still see the sunrise, although you might see it 4 seconds later than what they see it up there, but you're still going to see it and you're not going to fight the traffic. And then I would also get over into the western part of the state, over into the Bethel, Sugarloaf area. Big ski areas, depending on the type of time of season that you come up. But yeah, I would say it's worth a day visit to get over into the mountains. But the other 2 days, I would stay Portland, Camden, Bar Harbor.
I see. Okay, so basically go inland. Most of your time on the east with the water, the coasts,
Yes.
the
Yeah.
seafood.
Yeah, and
Okay.
if you travel Route One, you're going to go from Portland. You're going to go up into Bath, which is where Bath Iron Works is. Where so they're building these massive destroyers for the military, and you're literally driving across and you're looking at these massive destroyers that are in the river right there. And then you go through Damascotta, which is a really cute little town right off of Route One on the way up, and you go through Wiscasset, which is they say they're the prettiest village in Maine. So you jump right on Route One, head up the coast. You're just going to run into so many little gems as you drive up.
Nice. Sounds like an amazing road trip.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Yeah.
there's actual I think an established road trip of traveling Route One the entire way.
Oh
I haven't done
yeah.
it yet, but
I'm gonna keep that in mind too. I'm
yeah,
definitely gonna rewatch this and take notes.
awesome.
Are there any festivals, traditions, or annual events that are representative of the area?
Yeah, I mean most people in this area are known for the Lobster Festival. I think the Lobster Festival brings in like I don't know a couple 100,000 people.
Wow.
Tradition, I think it's the first week in August. I can't remember, but it's a huge. I mean, it is exactly what it says it is. It's the Lobster Festival, and it has changed over the years. It was for a long time very family friendly, so they would have carnival rides and all this stuff. And over the last handful of years, they've done away with a lot of the carnival rides, and they've now made it a little bit more cultural, a lot of
Nice.
farmers market stuff and arts and crafts and that type of thing. A lot of food, of course. I mean, the huge lobster tent. I don't even know. I can't even remember what the amount of lobster that they do, but it's a week long festival for lobster in this area. We've got the North Atlantic Blues Festival, which is again down right where the Lobster Festival is, but it's the North Atlantic Blues Festival, so it's a weekend thing of some amazing blues music. That typically I think is in June. Those are probably the two big ones: the Lobster Festival and then the Blues Festival.
That's good to know. And I didn't think blues was a northeastern thing. For some reason, I thought it was more south.
Yeah, no, the guy in Rockland, Paul Benjamin, who started it, gosh, it's been 20 plus years now, and it has turned itself into an amazing festival. And it's great because everyone just shows up with their lawn chairs and blankets, and you just pitch out on the grass. And the
Man,
backdrop is they set the stage up where the backdrop is the Rockland is the harbor. So you're sitting here and you're just looking out at the ocean, and here's this stage of amazing blues artists performing for a couple days. Yeah, it's
that's
pretty cool.
awesome. That
Yeah,
sounds amazing.
yeah.
Getting into the more of the historical culture section, what parts of the state's history do you think people should understand better? Is there anything in particular, if any?
I mean, I think we're starting to come around with a deeper appreciation for kind of the Native Americans that were in this area. You'll see a lot of whether it's the river like the Passamaquoddy. Well, that was a tribe that was in Maine, but it's also a river. So I think we're beginning to get back to recognizing that type of
I
thing.
see.
Yeah. Cultural wise, it's in history. There's just a rich history of arts, and so there's all sorts of museums. Again, in Rockland, there's the Farnsworth Museum, the Andrew Wyeth Museum. So there's all sorts of museums that bring back the history that way. But yeah, I don't think Maine. I think just Maine is finally. I don't say it's finally because I don't think we ever really lost it. But I think there is a deeper appreciation of the Native Americans and the local tribes. Where again, Penobscot County. Well, it was the Penobscot Indians, that type of thing. But yeah, this just again just a rich culture that way and recognition and appreciation of that. But then there's such a rich history as far as in the arts.
I see. Very nice. Yeah, a lot of places don't have the cultural aspect like that, so that's really cool.
Yeah, yeah, and it's I don't think they're not as prominent as of course as they were, but I think it's a rich part of our history. That's where a lot of the names of our whether it's our counties or our rivers, they all come from that.
I see. I have a fun section that I'm not sure if you got a chance to look at this, but the myths and legends and unknown section. Are there any myths, legends, folklore, anything that's misunderstood? Like Bigfoot or anything like that?
No, nothing. No, nothing like that. We have there's some great movies that have been filmed in the area. Peyton Place was filmed right in Camden, but no, boy, if there's nothing that I'm aware of. No Bigfoots or Sasquatches or Loch Ness monsters, and no, I mean, I'd love to say like haunted houses and things like that, which I'm sure there is because there's a lot of really old places in the area, but no myths or legends that I think would draw someone
I
into the
see.
area, at least that I'm aware of. And I've lived here most of my life, and I'm not aware. The only thing that there is if you're going from Camden up to Bar Harbor, you have to drive through Bucksport to get there. And there is a myth if you drive through as you're going out that you go across the bridge, turn right as they headed to Bar Harbor, and on the left is a cemetery, and there is a stone there that if you look on it, it's got like a watermark of a foot and like a boot. And the myth behind that is that it was a witch that was killed back in the like 1800s, I think, and she essentially cursed this person. And so legend has it that they have like literally replaced the gravestone, that they've acid washed it, that they've done everything to it, and then ultimately that impression of that leg comes back. So as you drive through town, you can always look up on that, and it's a very prominent stone fixture in the cemetery, and you will see the outline of a woman's foot and boot on there.
Interesting. That is kind of
Yeah,
creepy.
yeah, that's the only one that I'm aware of that I can think of.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
For some creative questions, is there a moment you've experienced that's only like in this state, like here in Florida, seeing an alligator eating like a bird or something, something unique to the state?
Yeah, I mean, somewhat unique again because I don't think you're going to see it in New York City, but there have been times sitting in my backyard, that all of a sudden I'll look out and there's a whole group of turkeys sitting in my backyard, or
Turkeys.
I've had a moose, walk down my driveway and then walk around the side of the house and hang out in the back of my house. We get deer out here all the time, and so again, kind of that appreciation that you're not going to see in Chicago, and probably you might not even see in Sarasota, but up here it's yeah. I haven't seen a bear I mean, I've encountered bears before, but I haven't just seen like what someone in my backyard. But I've had moose in my back, and I don't. I mean, I'm in Rockport, and I'm. It's not like I'm rural. I have my neighbors on both sides of me and behind me. But yeah, I think that's the kind of a unique thing is that there is
Oh yeah.
wildlife just everywhere.
So in a residential neighborhood with neighbors beside you, behind you, to have a moose walk in your backyard, that's
Yep.
pretty.
Yeah, I get moose, turkeys, especially in the summertime. The coyotes are just almost to the point where I sometimes have to like close my windows at night because they're so loud. So
I feel like they get everywhere, like
yes,
every city, it's insane. I saw two the other day during the day, which I know is not a good sign, but
right.
my point is, it's interesting how they just learn to live anywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah,
Very
yeah, it's
adaptable.
they have to. I mean, we keep taking their land away from them, so
That's true. That's true. If you had to describe your state was a person, if you had to describe their personality, what would you say personality represents Maine?
oh boy.
And it's kind of a creative question, but it kind of paints a good picture. Like free-spirited or like,
Yeah, free-spirited, I would say, an eccentric creative redneck
huh,
in a sense that it is a super creative, whether it's problem solving or like I said in the arts or entrepreneurship. There's some incredibly creative businesses that pop up around here because the old saying in Maine is if you have to live in Maine, it's because you like to have three jobs because you're just not going to make enough money unless you're a doctor or a lawyer. You're just not going to make enough money or a lobsterman. You're not going to make enough money to stay.
expensive.
You have to be creative and come up with your own. There are a lot of people that work a 9 to 5 and then they have their side gig, a company of their own that they do on the side to kind of fulfill the time and supplemental things. So they're super creative. I say redneck for just a lack of a better term, and I say it in the most loving possible way. But we're just hard work. We're just hard workers
I
up
see.
here, and I think that applies to. That's the one thing I've noticed everywhere that when things get tough, people support each other and come together, and that we have that in Maine, but we have it everywhere else in this country as well. But yeah, just that hard work, blue collar attitude, but yet creatively eccentric sometimes.
I see. And that I did see that, how patriotic, how united the state seems to be.
Yes, yeah, but I think you maybe not see it everywhere to the level that it is up here. We're like any state, we're divided. We have our political differences and stuff, but I think more often than not, people, at least that I've noted in here, it's not as personal. Just because you have a different viewpoint than me, that's okay. And I'm not going to hate you. I might not hang out with you, but I'm not going to hate you. That's
Yeah, that's important though, that mentality of the bigger picture.
absolutely. I mean, that's why this country is so amazing. Is that we can have those conversations and have those differences and still have lobster on the back deck.
True, very true. I just have a couple more questions.
Sure.
What is the best advice you'd give someone thinking about moving there to Rockport?
I think it's a misconception. I see it sometimes just again through social media. People are like, "Hey, I'm going to come up into this area." In this area specifically, it is even though we are in Maine, it is you've got to be prepared financially to be able to live here. It's just a tough area. I mean,
Cost of living.
that's cost of living is high. The cost of real estate, and we've talked about selling our house, but if we sell the house, like, and we could make some nice money on it, but like, where would we go? Like, there are people that are renting 1 and 2 bedroom apartments that are paying more than what my mortgage is.
Wow.
So yeah, and I think that's a misconception. It's like, oh, we'll just go up to Maine because it's not Connecticut, it's not Nantucket, it's not But when you come in this area specifically, and again talking about the Rockport area, it is a very affluent area, and there's just not a lot of high tech jobs. And that if you want that stuff, you've got to favor more Portland. And so you'll see a lot of remote workers up here because the
I see.
infrastructure as far as Wi-Fi and all that stuff is here. So there's a lot of an MBNA, which was a big credit card company, must have seen something because they took what was known as Knox Woolen Mill, which was this old woolen mill in downtown Camden. My dad used to work there, and they converted this old mill into one of the most high tech credit card processing systems because they recognized how Maine residents how hard they work, and so that's why they built the facility in Camden because they recognized the hard work that these people did and their work ethic and that type of thing. So unfortunately, that when it came in, that was great because it dropped the average age of our residents in this area down because people could leave graduate high school or college and then get a fairly good paying job. And so they allowed them to stay in the area. Since that company has left, it's turned now into senior living. And so the
Okay.
average age in our area is going back up. And so there's a lot of restaurants around here that, they stop serving dinner at 7 o'clock because the older clientele, they've already come and eat at 5 and they've gone home already. And so I've definitely noticed it in this area that, if you want to move in this area and you're 22 and single, there are other places to go. But if you have a family and you can, find a job that can sustain it, there's not many places better because the school system here is outstanding. There's just so many, again, think a family can go skiing at the local ski area and the school systems are really, really,
Huh. And going back to what you said with the mill, it does remind me the Northeast is known for, I mean the Midwest too, but the Northeast is known for like hardworking, fast pace. Yeah, that makes sense. And it's cool that they recognize that within your city. The cost of living, that reminds me, I had a friend who came here to Sarasota from Maine, and he was like, I don't know how you all can live down here. He was like, he was saying how expensive it was up north, and here, but he was saying how he got paid so much more up north.
interesting.
Yeah, so it's interesting how the cost of living is so much up north that kind of drives young people away. That's
Yeah,
northeast.
I mean, I think Portland is again fairly progressive. I think they just passed a $20 minimum wage bill that they're eventually, I think, over the course of the next 2 or 3
Good,
years, they're
good.
moving everyone up into a minimum $20 pay, which is I think is wonderful. So I think we're getting there, but there are still a lot of places around here that they advertise for people to work, and they're offering $17 an hour, and
Oh,
$17 an hour just doesn't get you much in this day and age.
yes, no, that's true. That is very true. I think minimum wage here is like 16 something. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I mean I think our minimum wage still in the state is 12 something.
Wow,
Most
yeah,
people
that.
most people don't recognize it nor pay that. I mean, you can go to McDonald's now and start at $20 an hour. I don't think they honor it, or it's just forced it because there just aren't a lot of people, young people. That's why like the J1 visas and stuff, they're getting a lot. We get a lot of summertime support and a lot of summertime workers from other parts of the world that come in
Ah, okay.
specifically to work, just because we don't have the young people here to support tourism and all that.
Oh, so they have the programs where they let people come from other countries to work for 6 months,
Yep.
basically.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah. And it's great. Yeah, it's because we were just having dinner last night at a local restaurant, and the woman I think was from Russia or somewhere, but it was just fun to talk with those people and learn what brought you here and what do you like about this place, and and it's cool if you just, again, that deeper appreciation we talked about it earlier of I've learned to appreciate what's here, and when I go travel other places I try to take the time to kind of appreciate what I'm doing here. Same thing applies with people, not only just views and vistas. Sometimes if you just take time to talk to people and listen to them, this people have amazing stories.
That's a good point. That is very true. To be present and just meet people and appreciate who they are and what they have to share.
Yeah, because I think the people are what make a town. I mean, the town, we're fortunate here. There's a lot to do. There's a lot of beautiful things to see, but ultimately, it's the people that oftentimes will make something special. Again, we were down in Mexico, and our stories last night about Mexico was about this one waiter that we had at this little Mexican place that we found that we ended up going to three times for dinner because the service was great, and he would sit and tell us stories and share recipes with us and all this.
Ah,
So that's the stuff that makes it special. So it isn't sometimes just all the stuff that you can see. Sometimes it's the stuff that you can meet.
that's true. No, that's powerful. That is a very powerful message. Last question is, what has this state given you that you didn't expect?
Ooh, giving me that I didn't expect.
Kind of a deep question. It could be, community, it could be any aspect across the board.
I think it kind of going back with what we just talked about. I think it's given me a deeper respect for others and meeting other people and the importance of relationships, which again, because I've traveled around and worked in a lot of different places, I think it's just a culmination of that. But I just think this area, because there's so many people that visit this area, it's just, I think it's given me a greater appreciation and allowed me to, I guess, maybe bring out maybe who I was, or who I am, I should say. I think
Okay.
it's allowed me to explore some of my ideas, some of my philosophies, that type of thing, and so it's given me that opportunity. Whether again it's just the ability to go out and take a deep breath outside, or go for a hike for a couple hours, or walk into town and just go meet different people and that type of thing. I think it's just given me an opportunity to kind of bring out who I really feel like now at this point in my life I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be, and I'm exactly who I'm supposed to be. And
That's gotta be a
I
good
don't know if I
feeling.
could have said that 15 or 20 years ago. I think I was chasing what I thought was what I wanted. And because I was able to kind of slow down in this area, but still slow down, but still be around so much modern technology. Like, we have everything up here. There's some great conferences and stuff that come into the area as well. I mean, we have the Camden Film Festival and some other things that happen. So you're where I still can feel the pulse anytime, but it's just slow enough where I think it's allowed me to kind of become who I'm supposed to become.
I see. I like that. So it's allowed you to be true to yourself and also be present, be more
Yes,
present and at peace.
yeah, it's allowed me to shut the noise down a little bit, and be less concerned with making sure I fit the model or fit the mold of what people may expect from me or that type of thing. And so I think it's just given me that ability.
I mean, that honestly is like more powerful than most people realize to, be able to be true to yourself and live the life that you want and be at peace. That's like what life is all about.
Absolutely,
That's
100%.
amazing.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thank you so much, Chris. I really appreciate you taking time to share all this amazing insight.
Yeah, I appreciate the opportunity, and I'm looking forward to know it now. Having knowing some of the questions that you've been asking, I'm looking forward to going back and listening to other podcasts that you do. So perhaps I can learn of some new places that I need to make sure I put on my list to go to.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. And I'll definitely follow up with you with when I release this episode. I appreciate you taking time for this again.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Jonathan. I appreciate the invite.